They don't like you because they can't control you. So I was thinking to myself, more so reflecting on an excerpt in the book Green Eyes titled Calculated Cosine. And I started to think about the fact that there are some people who are bending over backwards and jumping through hoops, trying to understand why someone is going out of their way to lie on them, make things difficult for them. And they're not understanding that all of these attacks, all of these strategies are orchestrated. A lot of the time, people make things difficult for you, or they try to paint you in a negative light because the fact that they can't control you makes them uneasy. And this is why, as you really start to harness your personal sense of power and willpower, with time, you will also start to develop more insight into certain situations. And as a byproduct, you will stop taking certain things personally or internalizing the experiences that you have. If you all only knew that there are some people who will go out of their way to close a door on you, make things difficult for you, ruin a relationship, ruin a connection, all because of a power trip. They don't like the fact that you're not pining for their attention, their affection, their validation, their approval, and it's making them uneasy. And ironically enough, I did a live some time ago, and I talked about this by dissecting a particular systemic principle where in order for you to keep your systemic structure, you have to make sure that the people within that system that you're feeding off of stays in line. And a lot of people don't understand the fact that when people are rallying up the troops against them, or they're operating in a smear campaign and they're utilizing multiple parties, right? It's the 100 people versus you, right? Yourself, 100 versus 1, 2 versus 1, 5 versus 1, etc. The reason why they're going to such drastic measures, the reason why they're implementing such extensive strategies is because they're trying to weaken your willpower. And this is why I've been talking a lot about systems of power and understanding how important it is for you to preserve your personal sense of willpower, because the moment that you compromise on your willpower, it's going to be very difficult for you to keep your boundaries in check or for you to not get preyed upon, right? So you have to understand that certain people will create obstacles or make things difficult for you in order to prep you for their control. And as I was preparing for this analysis, I was thinking about a comment that one of you all posted some time ago where you were asking me about making an analysis talking about how Jesus was, really good at ignoring certain people when they would try to get him to do certain things or say certain things that were designed to incriminate him, right? And it made me think about the fact that, wow, when we put that into perspective, that was all a battle of willpower. In particular, where you study stories in the Bible where Jesus was constantly being tempted to trip himself up by what he said or what he did. And a lot of the times it was the Pharisees who was doing this. And it stands out to me, or rather it stood out to me as I was preparing for this analysis, is the Pharisees operated in a group. And they operated in numbers and utilized all of these intimidation tactics to back Jesus up against the wall. But he never gave them that satisfaction. And as I was just now talking about Jesus and the Pharisees, I thought about another scripture in the Bible in the book of Luke. It's actually Luke 4:11, to 4:13. And it made me think about that excerpt where it talked about the enemy tempting Jesus. And when his temptations were unsuccessful, he left him until an opportune time. Now, what does this depict? This is obviously from my spiritual babes, my faith-based girlies, to put this into spiritual perspective. But I also want to elaborate on that particular scripture in the book of Luke. It highlights that relentless nature that I've been talking about on my channel since the very beginning. When you are dealing with someone who is envious of you, or someone who is trying to entail dominance and control over you, someone who is trying to manipulate the favor over your life to their benefit, right, and to your detriment, you have to understand that that relentless component is super, super significant. You have to pay attention to that. There are some people who, because they keep exhausting all of this energy and effort into getting you to weaken your defenses, into getting you to bend to their will, they start to become resentful towards you. So you have to understand the fact that there are individuals who are mad at you because they cannot control you. Their control tactics, their intimidation tactics are proving to be unsuccessful. And that's the real reason why they do not like you. Another thing that I mentioned in my live some time ago is I stated that you have to embrace the extreme measures and the extreme extent that people will take in order to preserve their sense of pride and ego. And I stated in that live that realistically, when we take our emotions out of certain things, it makes perfect sense that someone will go out of their way to kick you out of an opportunity, kick you out of a space, if you are leading by example and you're showing other people who they've successfully controlled and manipulated that there is a way outside of that manipulation and coercion. So sometimes people don't like you because you are a threat to what they've built, right? If you keep leading by example and showing people that you don't have to compromise your values in order to achieve success. You don't have to jump through every hoop that this person tells you to just because they're ego tripping and power tripping in order to reach your goals. You could work around them. You could be confident. You could achieve certain things in an environment or amongst a group without pining for their attention, their affection, and their approval, right? So it's a flip side to this coin, though. It's a benefit to you when you don't bend, but it's a detriment to the people who are trying to control you. And a lot of the times they won't like you by default because you are a threat to their foundation. And that foundation consists of successfully manipulating and controlling their minions and their flying monkeys. By you simply leading by example through your actions, through your attitude, through your confidence. You all know that I've referenced the scripture before, Hebrews 10:35. So do not throw away your confidence, for it will be richly rewarded. Just simply you exuding that confidence, not an arrogance, but a confidence in the fact that not only am I confident in what I can bring to a particular table, not only am I confident about my personal attributes and my characteristics, but I'm also confident in the fact that things will work out the way that it's supposed to, according to God's will for my life. You having that faith in God's purpose and will for your life, it makes someone who is trying to take the place of God's throne in your life uneasy. And as you start to step into your power, whatever that will look like for you and your situation, the more you'll be able to perceive that not being liked comes with the territory when you don't allow people to control you or to take God's place in your life. Now, spiritually, this is the slippery slope. In order for you to give another person control and dominion over your life, you had to push God out of the driver's seat. In order for a person to get the driver's seat, to get behind the wheel regarding your life, the trajectory of your life, you had to push God out of the driver's seat. And see, if I'm really getting on my spiritual, time right now, I'm trying not to for this analysis, but I'm just feeling this. And see, this is why there are some situations where you're crying out to God and you feel like he's not doing anything, but you're not addressing a major issue. God hasn't been in the driver's seat regarding the situation whatsoever. In order for you to fit in with this group, in order for you to fit in with this environment, in order to gain their acceptance, in order to gain their approval, you had to kick God out of the driver's seat. And that's why we have to be careful about mislabeling certain seasons, events, and circumstances in our life, if I'm gonna be completely honest, right? And I'm speaking from personal experience. But there are some situations where we feel upset, like, well, what's going on, God? I've been praying, I've been asking for you to fix it, and God is trying to communicate with you. I never was in this vehicle to begin with. My hand is not on this vehicle, and that's why everything has been going left. I have been nowhere a part of this process. I'm not in this group. I'm not in this opportunity. I'm not in this environment. And the reason why I haven't been in this situation is because in order for you to be aligned with this opportunity, in order for you to be aligned with this environment, in order for you to be aligned with this group, aligned with this person, I can't be present because they want to be the leader in your life. They want to have the ultimate control and dominion over your life. So you have to choose a side. And this is why you cannot take situations lightly where you realize someone is trying to dominate every aspect of your life. They're trying to dictate the trajectory of your purpose. Pay attention to those red flags. Now, to describe this further, I'm going to read from an excerpt in the book In the Lion's Den, Navigating Systems of Power, titled An Independent Soldier Creates Discomfort. And the excerpt reads, systems of power are sustained by individuals in positions of authority, and these individuals thrive on the perception that they are indispensable. Whether their value lies in their expertise, resources, or support, their comfort often depends on others recognizing and relying on their contributions. In such environments, independence can be seen as a threat. When someone demonstrates that they can operate without constant assistance, they may inadvertently draw unwanted attention or resentment. This dynamic arises because self-sufficiency challenges the comfort and control of those in power. Gratitude and dependence often serve as unspoken currencies in these spaces, and failing to display them may create tension. All right, babes, that's all that I have for this analysis today. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. But of course, I want to hear you all's comments, opinions, perspectives, and personal experiences in the comment section below. I look forward to speaking to you guys in the next one, babes. Take care.